Hello everyone, so today I'm coming at you with a number cake video. I hope all is well with everyone, and first getting started, I made I think they call it a false Swiss meringue buttercream. I apologize for the background noise. My neighbors or someone's outside playing music, but I used these egg whites, and I'll also link it down in the description box below. And I got this recipe, I believe, off of Sugar Geek. Otherwise, I'll link that also in the description box below. I used 6 fluid ounces of the pasteurized egg whites and 6 cups of powdered sugar. And all of this is on the website as well. And I whip it up. Currently my whisk attachment is broken, so I only have my paddle attachment right now, and I whip it up until it's a meringue and it has stiff peaks, and I'll show you what that looks like once it's there. And then after that, that's when I start adding in my butter, and my butter is softened and it is unsalted butter. I cut it as I'm adding it, so it probably would help me if I cut it beforehand, but I just decided to cut it right like that. And this was my first time making this, and I actually really like it. If you're looking for a buttercream that isn't as sweet, Swiss meringue is the way to go, because you are using, in this recipe you use powdered sugar, but a real Swiss meringue you use granulated sugar. So I do highly recommend it. And to me, it kind of reminds me of marshmallow fluff when it is the right consistency. So as you can see, it is whipping up right now, and you can see it getting to that meringue consistency. And I had it, as you can see, I had it up medium, I guess you would say. And then we're just waiting for stiff peaks. And I did this because I think I had bought some pasteurized egg whites, and I just wanted to get rid of them, and I did get rid of them. I think I made this recipe like 2 or 3 times after this. So now we're at our stiff peaks, and I'll show you what your stiff peak will look like. I'll have to do another video on a Swiss meringue, my mom's been telling me, so I will be doing a video on Swiss meringue buttercream also, just so I can walk you through the process. So now I'm gonna turn it on low as I add in my butter, and like I said, it's unsalted. And one thing I wanted to point out was you can see the consistency change as I add the butter, and you also see the color change, which I thought was pretty cool. And you can see how butter changes not only the consistency, but it also changes the color, and you see it turning into a really yellow color from the meringue. So I thought that was something to point out. Me personally, I know people like white buttercream, but it's called buttercream for a reason. So if you do want to get that white buttercream, you just need to add a tinge of violet Wilton food coloring, and you will get that white buttercream. It's like the violet offsets the yellow, creating a white color. So I do highly recommend that. One thing I know I struggled with my cake on this one was, you guys will see, I had to clean my board, and it took forever because my cake was so moist on top, so it took forever to get it clean. So I do recommend getting like a cake board that is, I really don't even know. I know I've used parchment paper on the sides, but then when you cut the cake, you want to make sure that you're not cutting the cake and parchment paper is getting on. So that I'm still trying to figure this whole thing out, but And I also, as you see, I added salt, and I think I'm about to add some vanilla, or I already added the vanilla. So I really strongly recommend it, and like I said, I will put it in the description box below. One other thing that I wanted to point out was, I know I always talk about how and you can see the consistency, it looks so good. I finally realized a good consistency for buttercream, and I got it. As you can see, you kind of like, as it was whipping up, you kind of like to see like those ripples, because that means your buttercream is getting to where it's going to be. And if it does start to get a little loose, all you have to do is just put it in the fridge for maybe 15-20 minutes, and then you can start whipping it back up. It's just the butter got too warm. But if you put it back in the fridge for, like I said, 15-20 minutes. Okay, this is what I wanted to point out. I made my cake and I forgot to put baking soda and baking powder. So if you ever have that problem, this is how you know what you forgot to put in. If you did not put in baking soda or baking powder, this is what it looks like. It does not rise. Mine also pulled apart from the pan, and it still tasted good, but it didn't rise. And this is, as you can see, this is what my cake looks like when it has risen. So that was one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say is, I'm using my channel to take you guys on my baking journey, but in the future, as my channel grows, I plan to make it as a lifestyle channel. But I like to take you guys on my journey, like my first time doing things. I know when I'm researching and I have a lot of questions, I like to show you guys, like, let you guys hear what my questions are. I like to show you guys how I did it and how I figured it out, because it's kind of hard for me to find that. I know one of my future videos will be on how I made caramel, because the first couple times I made it was metallic-y, and I watched more videos and I figured out what I was supposed to do. So that will be a future video. And one thing I do recommend, as you can see, this is the bottom part of the cake, and like I said, the top part was so moist when I put it on the cake board. The top basically stuck. It was very sticky on the cake board. So I do recommend using the top of your cake, like put the top of your cake on top. I know maybe that may seem redundant, or it may seem like obvious, but it makes it easier when you are starting to carve your cake. So that's one recommendation that I have. I used my cake leveler, and it made cutting my cake really easy. Another thing I recommend, if you have paper towels, I had like a washcloth. That's what made it easier for me to wipe all of the cake off, and I just got it wet and I would just wipe it off. And as you can see, I put the top part of the cake just on some on saran wrap, just so it's not on my table and it's easier for me to pick up. And I don't really like for it to break, but it wouldn't be anything wrong with it if the number did break. So this buttercream that I made, I didn't show you guys this part, but it's a Nutella buttercream. I start with a vanilla base, as you saw, and then I add Nutella, and I add a heaping amount of Nutella. I don't measure, but I add a heaping amount of Nutella just because I want you to be able to taste that flavor. And I also add a little bit of cocoa powder just to give it that depth. So that's what frosting it is. And using the Swiss meringue, as you can see, it is a little runny, but I don't mind, because afterwards I'm just gonna pop it in the fridge so it can set. And I think the tip that I'm using, I know it's not a 1M. I can put that in the description box also. But I just love how how the dollops look. They look so nice and neat. And now we're gonna put the cakes on top. I also, what I really wanted to do, but I realized I didn't have enough Ferrero Rochers. I was gonna put Ferrero Rocher in between the layers, but as you can see, the Ferrero Rochers that I have on the table was everything that I had. So that was a mistake on my part. And normally when I do make this cake, I do put Ferrero Rochers in the middle. And I use a Nutella Buttercream because, you know, Ferrero Rocher has the hazelnuts on the outside. So maybe that will be an upgrade that I can make, is starting to use hazelnuts and Ferrero Rochers combined for this cake. Okay. And this cake was for my boyfriend's mother. So I just... I had some ideas for this cake, and I kind of wish I would have saved some of my vanilla buttercream just so I could have colored it, but that's another thing I forgot. Sometimes I think when I'm decorating, I get so it's not really impatient, but I have such great ideas, and then I realize I'm like, oh, well, I should have did this, but it's okay, because, you know, you adapt and you make it the way that you want to make it. And so after I did the dollops, I put it in the fridge to set. That's why I'm able to do this and you don't see the dollops messing up. So I think I put it in the fridge for maybe about 15-20 minutes. And then I was able to put these on top. And you really don't need that tip to do that. You really can use any tip. Now this tip is a 1M, I want to say, and I love how it turned out. The one thing I didn't do was I put chocolate covered pretzels on the cake, and I didn't record myself doing that, so I do apologize for that, but everything else I did record. And if you guys ever have any questions, please put them in the comment box below. I do get to the comments, and I do read all comments that are left, and I do answer them. If I don't know, then I do my own research and I try and get back. And this tip I'm actually starting to fall in love with. I love the way it looks. And I store all my, that's what I didn't say. The extra excess cake that I have, I use it for cake pops, or I just save the extra cake, put it in the fridge, but I do try and use it quickly, just because I don't like for it to just sit in the fridge. And that's what the cake looked like. My recording cut off. This is our new logo, you guys have and I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for your comments, for your views. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, put them in the comment box below, and you will have more videos coming soon. See you guys on the next video.